Yes.
Yep. Okay,
Yes, we
great.
can, Ali. Thank you. Yeah, we are live. Excellent. Awesome. Thank you, everyone, for joining today's live stream. And I am James, and I'm very happy to see you guys here. So we're going to get started very quickly. So today, we're going to talk about AI, which is one of the main trends, I would say, especially in the crypto world, right? Everyone is jumping in the AI, and everyone is trying to, use it in their own ways. So yeah, let's talk about AI and its role in Web3 and how it can help the projects in Web3. So why don't you guys go ahead and start with a quick introduction about yourselves? Let's start with Ali.
Okay. Hey, I'm Ali. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Nakji Network. We specifically focus on indexing blockchain data to make it very easy for anyone to access.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Ali. And Josh?
Hi, everyone. My name is Josh Topkin. I'm a co-founder CEO at SupraOracles. Oracles enable blockchains to communicate with the outside world and also to each other. They also let smart contracts be more expressive and do more things. And Ali, I just checked out your website. Definitely want to connect with you about what you guys offer after this call.
Yeah, sounds good.
Great. And Daksh?
Yeah, hello everybody. Thanks for arranging this space. Seems pretty interesting. I'm Daksh Joshi. I'm the co-founder and chief product officer of SaaS3. And pretty much SaaS3 is a decentralized Oracle network that allows users to define and deploy customizable no-code oracles. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Deploy safe and secure oracles according to your needs and without coding or hosting. Yeah.
Oh, that's very cool. So what have you guys been working on recently, Daksh?
I think that was for you, Daksh. Or is
Can
that
you
for
hear me?
Josh? Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, so
Yeah.
recently we have
Yeah,
a
it
couple
was
of
for
news.
Daksh. Yep.
Okay, so the most interesting news is actually we finished our integration with OKC Chain. So we're working on the OKC testnet right now. Our oracles are live. Tomorrow, from tomorrow, users would be able to deploy no-code oracles on the OKC testnet and test how, and just experience how they could create smart contracts that can interact with APIs and real-world data feeds directly. So that's a recent news. Now, in general, actually, we utilize TE chipsets to ensure the privacy and security of our Oracle technology. So we recently finished our D runtime development. We delivered our first milestone for the Web3 Foundation grant. And since our D runtime is developed, as I said, we've completed the integration with the OKC chain testnet. So we'll be launching the public version tomorrow, most as planned. Um, yeah, and since SASE allows for users to deploy any type of Oracle. Currently, we've enabled the support for smart contracts to directly interact with. We will be enabling the support by tonight for smart contracts to directly interact with ChatGPT's OpenAI's APIs. So smart contracts can directly interact with that, ask for questions and get results directly. We're not sure how people will use it, but since we're just demonstrating how dynamic we are, actually our Oracle systems are, but one application of it would also be in the future similar type of thing that people can actually integrate their smart contracts with something like a quant API. So it could ask for what is the market analysis and the market. Then the API could just give the signals of what to buy, when to buy, stuff like that, and the smart contract can act accordingly. So that is one example of what could happen through SaaS3 Oracle infrastructure and what we are trying to display with our integration with the ChatGPT API integration. Yeah. So these are some recent news.
Awesome. It sounds very interesting, actually, because even though I'm not I don't have much of a tech knowledge,
Yeah.
especially with oracles and data and all that. I'm not really, I don't really understand all of that. But again, from what you are saying, I feel like this is the beginning of something huge, especially for the projects, because if you are enabling an integration with ChatGPT, then there should be more ways for people to innovate, to try something new, and at the same time to come up with some type of new solutions and that would probably help out with the growth of overall Web3 world, right? So
You're correct.
this sounds really, really interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're correct. Actually, one of the main reasons why I could say my view is why real world like
Okay.
DeFi hasn't touched.
I kind of missed your last point.
Okay. Am I lagging out for everybody or because
I think
Josh?
James is a little laggy.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. All right. Let's move on to Ali. What you guys been working on?
James, sorry, you sound like a robot. I didn't catch what you said.
Oh my God. Okay. How about now? Is it okay now? Let me
Yeah, it's
double
better
check
now.
my connection. I think everything is good from my side. Okay. So let me repeat myself again. What have you been working on recently, Ali?
Oh yeah, so for Nakji, we've been integrating OK Chain, indexing the base chain, as well as investigating indexing additional smart contracts on OK Chain to make that data very easily accessible via WebSockets and REST API. So yeah, in addition, like we've released a lot of the documentation necessary, so anyone is able to build additional connections. So if you have built a new if you've built a new smart contract that you would like a REST or WebSocket API for, you can very easily make a new connection and get that data right away.
All right. Awesome. Great. So can you explain it like M5? How would, if let's say a new smart contract is deployed, how would they use Nakji Network to make it, like how would they use Nakji Network in general?
Okay, sure. So I guess I should explain what indexing means in the first place, because I don't think most people know necessarily what indexing means. So indexing actually just means adding metadata to raw data so that it's easier to search and it's easier to get the data that you actually need, right? So on a blockchain, you have a ton of data, whether it's DeFi data, game data, NFT data, whatever data. And when you've built a smart contract, you pretty much only care about the data from your own smart contract, right? You don't care about all the other data that's on the chain. And so what an indexer does is it takes all the data from the blockchain, it filters it, it labels it, it adds additional metadata to this raw data and sorts it so that when you build your website or your game or whatever your front end is, when you need to get the data that you want to display within your product, you can do so very easily. So does that make sense so far?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, it does.
Yeah. So yeah, like in order to basically in order for any new smart contract to be compatible with our system, you just need to build a connector. So this connector is an open source thing. There's a ton of connectors that we have already on our GitHub and in our documentation. So these connectors basically connect to the blockchain. They take that data, they do a little bit of cleaning. So maybe labeling what the fields are, maybe adding decimals to the right places, maybe adding like a USD price. So like if you have a DeFi project and you want to include the USD price into the trades that are happening on your platform, then you would add that all within the connector. And from that connector, like you'd basically call a function to output that cleaned data so that Nakji Network can essentially index it and then make it available through the API. So it can be as complex as you want it to be. It can be as simple as you want it to be. For a lot of projects, it's essentially just taking the event data that's on blockchain and that's on many different blockchains and making that available. So yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Thanks for taking the time to explain it, because in the end, some of our community members, especially some of our weavers, they may not be very, aware of all the slang that you guys are throwing around. So sometimes if I ask you to explain something like M5, please don't
Yeah,
mind
no,
me.
totally. And if I can have like another like 10 seconds.
Yeah, sure.
So to zoom out a little bit, right? When you want to build a successful project, you have to focus on three things. The first thing is the website itself, right? You want to make sure your user experience, your product is good, right? The second thing is you want to make sure your smart contracts are very secure and do exactly what you want it to do. Now, the third part is building all the infrastructure behind it in order to connect those two things. That's kind of where we come in, right? We provide the infrastructure so that you can focus on building your business, whether it's making sure your user interface is great, your front end is great, and your smart contracts are secure. We can just provide all the stuff that you don't really want to build.
Right. So it kind of takes all that hard work off of the builders and founders, and you guys provide the backend support for them.
Exactly.
This is this is awesome. Thank you so much, Ellie.
Mm-hmm.
Now let's move on to Josh.
Yeah. So as an Oracle, we take security very seriously. You can have your smart contracts be perfectly implemented, but if you let bad data into the Oracle itself, then you run into problems. Bad data in, bad data out. That's why, while I think interacting with ChatGPT is interesting, and we also think there's a lot of promise there, especially for the long tail of things you want on chain. We believe you have to have two other components which are majorly important. One, you want to know, and this is very nascent. Our industry is not ready for this part. You want to know and be able to prove in real time that the data set that this ML AI was trained on was the correct data set that you expect it to be. And two, you want to know that the right model was utilized in giving you the answer. You do this through, I think the prevailing approach is ZK-ML, or zero knowledge proofs, to prove that the computation itself was the correct model that you expected to give you the answer. That's a little bit further off, but that is coming down the pipeline for our industry in at large. Because you can imagine if you have AI that speaks like a human and it feels like a human, but it's actually biased, or it's just like humans, or it's actually giving you the wrong information, then you let that information into a smart contract, you're in trouble. So we make sure, and we do everything we can do to make sure that no bad data gets into a smart contract in the first place. But that's, so let's talk about like what kind of data can we do verifiable compute on? Well, it's fairly easy using, in our model, consensus algorithms to secure external data on chain if and only if there's multiple sources of this information. Now, in the ChatGPT example, for example, you might want to, what I highly recommend you do is actually what we call optimistic oracles, where you can query it, let ChatGPT answer the long tail of anything possibly on a smart contract, but you introduce a challenge period. An optimistic model means you introduce a challenge period where, for example, the AI can respond, but a human can rebuttal that or challenge it during the 12-hour period. This allows you to get the long tail, get a quick response, but you also maintain the integrity of the information that enters the blockchain in the first place. Smart contracts, because they compose with each other, one contract can communicate with another contract. If you let bad data into one smart contract and another contract's interacting with that, then there can be second orders effects. This is why it's critical to, while it's great that others are making it easy to put data into a blockchain, Web2 APIs fail all the time. That becomes a single point of failure. You want to actually be very careful about that. So I recommend, I guess for SaaS3, if you guys do that, it's great. I like what you guys are doing, but you have to be very careful about like how to protect information that actually enters the blockchain in the first place. Hence, I recommend an optimistic Oracle model where you include a challenge period. Yeah, so Supra, we are applying our kind of layer one principles to secure the Oracle layer. We have some what we believe is the state of the art in terms of kind of Oracle algorithms. We call it a decentralized Oracle agreement, or DORA for short. I'm happy to say that we have deployed an OKX chain in your testnet, and we ourselves are going to maintain in about 45 days.
Yeah, you guys again, I'm gonna repeat myself. You guys are throwing out lots of technical stuff, and I'm trying to keep up with you guys. But again, what I'm hearing from you guys is that in the end, all the data, all the oracles within the blockchain should be secure, and they should be giving you exactly what you are asking for without being, out of topic, or without being wrong in the end. So as you're talking about, Josh, as you're talking about AI and how to integrate let's say the ChatGPT, and if you're giving them like a challenge duration for like 12 hours or 24 hours, this is one of the examples of how you guys are trying to implement AI into oracles or within the whole blockchain system. But again, my question comes is, of course, this might be out of blue, but why now? Why are we, or why are you guys starting to explore the possibilities of AI now, not last year or not like 2 or 3 years ago?
Yeah, I can kind of chime in here. So what we have been doing is we have been studying verifiable compute. So we do have a decentralized node network, and we can effectively random sample that network to do verifiable compute. In verifiable compute, there's basically two genres. One is through threshold, meaning you have a group of nodes and you need a threshold of them to come to the same answer. But the thing is with that, you have to be working with a deterministic system. You can't reach consensus or agreement if the different nodes are having different outputs. Now, the other component is through ZK proofs themselves, but that's a little bit more difficult to implement. So we have been studying this for some time. Some examples of like machine learning or very simple models of this include like our nodes watching the last, say, 1,000 blocks of data and identifying anomalies and identifying historical inconsistent values or standard deviations, deviations that are just beyond the acceptable boundaries. And this can create a feedback loop and an alert system to like basically flag the data for being incorrect. These are like kind of simple deterministic, but still deterministic machine learning, so to speak, very basic format. So we have been very interested in this for some time. Another example is if we are tracking like ETH to USD, Bitcoin to USD, and then ETH to Bitcoin, since we have awareness of these ratios and the values between these different coins, we can do correlation between them. And if we see something that's out of whack, this can trigger basically our system to kind of move into an alert mode or fallback mode where we get more nodes involved. So to kind of come back to what you're saying, yes, we have found this to be very interesting, but really the truth is, I think we've all been so impressed with the ChatGPT and the progress in AI. Finally, they're working on this for a decade, and boom, now we're on a whole new playing field, and it's fascinating and also a little bit scary, to be honest. But that kind of comes into, I actually think AI has given blockchain its second most important use case, which is public key infrastructure. What I mean by that is like, how do I even know I'm talking to James and not just a robot right now? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I need to know like you signing your information, your media. I need to have a public key infrastructure so I know who you are, an identity system. And also a blockchain itself has a layer of truth, or what we call a chain of integrity. It allows us to know how this AI I'm working with, interacting with, has been trained. What is the data provenance? What data was this utilized here? And I actually think in the years to come, it'll become like law that you have to use something like a blockchain to prove that this is not a malicious AI, especially if it's interacting with the public. That's my point of view there.
Yeah, you said that AI is exciting, but at the same time scary. I definitely agree with that, because in the end, as you mentioned, like you may in the future we may not know whether we're talking to a real person or we're talking to AI, and there might be some type of difference. I mean, I have seen some pictures, I have seen some videos where it's like you see deep fakes, and like you see either Elon Musk or Obama or whatever are talking about some sort of stuff that it's not real, but at the same time it's deep fake, and like it looks real, and at the same time you're like, wow. And if you're not into this, if you're not very aware of what AI can do, then you might high likely be fall to that, and you might understand that, okay, this must be real because Elon Musk is talking about a certain coin and it's going to pump and all that stuff, right? So let's talk more about the exciting part of integrating AI in the blockchain or in the whole Web3 system. So my question would be like, what role does AI work in the what role does it have in the development of the Web3 from the technical point of view? What do you guys think?
Well, I can go first. I mean, you can imagine, right? When you're a smart contract developer, just like they have Copilot in GitHub, where you have an AI assistant saying, you're typing and it's basically filling it out for you. Like if it's pre-programmed with the best practices and an existing smart contract code that has already been audited, and it just kind of fills in the blanks or it helps you debug. I can imagine that helping smart contract developers tremendously in the future. That's one of the probably most exciting use cases I can see here.
Right. Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, Ali, go ahead, please.
yeah, I think at this point in time, like most of the recent innovations have been in like large language models, right? So specifically on how machines and AIs interact with humans. And so as Josh mentioned, right, like GitHub Copilot and some of the other coding um, assistants out there, I think those are the primary like use case for us at least initially. But also when it comes to just explaining the data on the chain, right? Like there's a ton of data on chain, but how do you explain it? Explain like I'm five, right? Like it's hard to do that, especially when you have all these different blockchains, all these different dApps, all these different smart contracts on chain. So I think the interfacing part is really, really important. Like how do blockchains interface with humans? I think another thing that's just quite interesting is not necessarily like specific to AI, but also just machine learning in general, is that we can use a lot of these tools to do security detection, right? Like figure out detecting early when things are going wrong, when hacks are happening, using machine learning to figure that out before a human possibly could from like the transaction pools before it's actually committed to the chain. So these are really exciting to me. But yeah.
So when you're talking about security detection, do you think that AI will, or is it right now, helping projects to detect it on time and kind of preventing it, or is it just alerting the humans to act on it?
So I think currently they're still doing alerts, but I mean, I think there are some startups out there in the Web3 space that are like not only alerting, but also triggering like fail safes within the smart contracts. I don't know off the top of my head since I'm not specifically in that space. However, Nakji can help in that like we can stream that data faster so that people can detect it faster. So.
Yeah, in the end, I mean, yeah, of course, it can detect and alert as fast as possible. But if humans are not responding fast enough, then what's the point of alerting, right? In the end, the hacks already has happened, and there's nothing you can do about it. But if AI is kind of, without any mistake, of course, without any malicious mistake, if it is alerting and at the same time preventing that hack to happen, then that would be the best. That would increase the security, like highly, because in the end, hacks are going to happen whether we want it or not, or whether we do some type of new type of security protocols or whatever. But again, with the help of AI, I think it would be much, much safer space for us if hacks could be held off at that moment that's happening.
I mean, potentially in the future, right? But I think at this point, it still requires like a human gatekeeper, especially because I mean, AI has a lot of mistakes, right? Like
Yeah.
if you verify a lot of the things that AI outputs, or even just ChatGPT, if you check a lot of the stuff it outputs, it's not really correct. And
Right.
so, yeah, if it can't correctly give you a list of something, then it's probably not going to correctly give you like 100% accuracy on security issues. But
Yeah, absolutely. It needs time. It needs a lot of learning, a lot of data. So that's
yeah, so it's more like
and
a tool at this point, I think, rather than like a
yeah,
primary decision maker.
yeah.
Now
And I
about
think one
that,
of the
right?
yeah,
First
Josh,
of
go
all,
ahead.
yeah, I would love to say this is really interesting to me. I think if you combine this with multiple agents, kind of as watchers, and they're doing basically running machine learning models, and they also have like their own MPC multi-party computation or threshold signatures or multi-sig. And if you can get say 5 out of the 8 machines to say that yes, something's going on, they can just immediately sign together to halt the protocol. faster than any human could ever coordinate across that. That actually sounds like a very interesting future business and service. Maybe you guys, Ali, you guys can provide that at some point. But our team, by the way, has tremendously great DKG, distributed key generation, and multi-party computation experts on our team. Our team is led by Dr. Annika Kate, who wrote a paper called DKG in the Wild. Yeah, I mean, Ali, if you or anyone, James or Doc, if you guys pursue this, let me know. I'd love to kind of explore this deeper with you guys.
And if you want to really check it out, there's this protocol called lossless. I'm not sure if they're using AI for it, but they were talking about preventing hacks on like the second it's about to happen. So that's pretty interesting. But yeah, I should share my. So what I think is, you guys are talking. I don't really agree, I would say, or I'd say that the kind of progress you're talking about would come later. Right now, let's be honest, cryptocurrency as of now isn't being used as a currency. It does not act as a form of money right now. So people are viewing it as an investment. So I think trading is going to be the biggest application that will fuel the development of Web3 behind it. According to the data I have, around what 70% of US equities are being traded by algorithms right now, and there a lot of it is like high frequency trading. They're doing it in nanoseconds, so that's super fast. I mean, people trading. I don't think so. People would be trading anymore. The people who are trading are they just don't know about what type of bots and what type of algorithms are there in the market right now. And if you compare the crypto market compared to like the contemporary financial world, yesterday our market cap was like our 24, like the market cap of all of the cryptocurrency market together was maybe 1 trillion, 1.2 trillion. The market cap of US securities alone is $40 trillion. So we are pretty small right now, and I think there's a huge application of trading that will come in. And one more point that I want to highlight. So Ali, you're talking about and James, Josh, you're talking about the utilization of AI to prevent hacks. I think that wouldn't come first. I think the utilization of AI for manipulation will come first. And after that, because whatever makes money is going to come into the market first. Preventing hacks doesn't make money, but manipulation does. So this will come first, and then it's just a proposition. It's just what I think. And then what will happen is some person who has this algorithm will then use it for saving funds also. So that will be the second step. Maybe first is going to be AI being used to manipulate, and the second would be AI to be used to save the market, or else. So that's what I think. So I think trading will be first.
You're talking about bots and how it's being implemented for trading. Absolutely, we can see it everywhere. Of course, people like us who trade, once or twice a day, we don't, even if we know about it, like we don't want to go through that step of, putting the bots and integrating it with the system, because it might take more time. It might take, lots of energy and knowledge and research and all that stuff. And I honestly, even though I trade, but I don't really trade often, I don't feel like that's something that I need at the moment. But again,
Yeah.
with the bots, as you mentioned, like they're acting really fast, and within like nanoseconds, they're doing the trading, and it really helps within the whole trading system, and especially in Web3 with all the price volatility and all that stuff. And yeah, I mean, you're absolutely right with trading crypto. It should be very important. And as we're
But
talking about go ahead, Dutch. Then I'm gonna ask a question. Yeah.
I have a couple. Sure. So, I mean, bots is just the starting, right? It's not AI. Bots are just maybe a couple of lines of code to act according to maybe some mathematical formula or whatnot. You can make it a little more complex, but AI isn't there yet. I'm talking about doing quantitative analysis through AI, reading charts, doing these analysis, checking previous trends. These are all the type of tasks that we refer to as so hard and so mathematically challenging or so analytical. It's just simply replaceable by an AI algorithm. And also, you could maybe try, if the viewers are interested, you could check something called reinforcement learning. So what it does, it treats the entire journey as a game for an AI. So what happens is you give the AI some sort of objective, and you give an AI some sort of reward mechanism. So if this is the result of your action, that's a -1 point. If this is the result of your action, that's a +1 point. And you give all of the charts to the AI, right? All of the charts, previous trends, the volume, whatever factors you want to give, and you just ask the AI to go and trade on its own. And what it does is then it trades. and it doesn't know how to trade, it doesn't know anything, but it slowly and steadily gets better because it has that reward mechanism built into it. So I'm really we're actually really interested in checking out what would be the application of reinforcement learning, because that kind of reinforcement learning actually could learn stuff that we don't even know yet, or could, because it has all of these data points, right, from volumes to everyday high, everyday low, what type of stuff is happening, even some sort of maybe wash trading, or some, what in short what traders do is they come in, they make some sort of really big buy order at a particular price, so that kind of dictates the market price for that time, and as soon as that price is reached, they just remove their buy order and sell all of the tokens. So in general, they're trying to create that kind of base for the crypto trading that for that second, but they remove the base and they sell it immediately. Now this kind of data is maybe not really analytical, but the AI can definitely just look at the charts, look at the data, and be like, you know what, this is going to happen. So this is a good time to short, it's a good time to long. So bots is still very simple. I mean, I'm saying like there's a lot of stuff that's about to happen. Yeah,
Right.
yeah,
And besides that, there is the emotions part where AI doesn't have one. I mean, people are inclined to have emotions, and when they see huge drop of the price, they will go ahead and click close. And then when they see a huge growth, they might do the same. So yeah, with the AI, I think it would be a lot easier because it doesn't have any emotions, and it will be just looking at the data and working according to the data, according to the patterns. Yeah, as we're talking about I would say the application of AI in Web3 space, trading is one. Is there any other sectors in Web3 that we can see AI really growing, really making an impact?
I think from the other angle, right? Like currently a lot of AI, like just think about it in terms of hardware. Where does all the hardware come from? So a lot of it is run on like Google Cloud, AWS, for example. I think using blockchain can potentially, I mean, there's a couple projects out there where it basically incentivizes people to provide hardware for training, for helping train models within like train some sort of machine learning models. But yeah, I think that's pretty interesting. It could potentially encourage people who just have graphics cards lying around to take part in these things. But yeah, I think primarily it's like going back to what I said earlier, which is like I think primarily AI will be used as tooling for faster development, faster like interfacing with humans. I don't know if there's going to be like at least in the near future, just blockchains are too slow to actually run any like models on it. So yeah, I'm not sure.
Yeah, I don't think you would run it directly on a blockchain, but you could use it for hashing the data so that you know how this thing was trained. One thing that actually might be relevant for Ali as well, I think is the natural evolution, is to honestly like metaverse-based recommendation engines. So based off of your on-chain history, your previous trading
Yeah.
behavior, which NFTs you previously held, to make inferences on like, hey, if you owned Macy's, you might like Macy's, or
Mhm.
that was a really simple one. And you can also, we're really going to be moving into a period, I believe, in the near future of DIDs, decentralized identities, and verifiable credentials, and these kind of on-chain kind of attributes. So you're willing to be publicly facing, so that these types of on-chain recommendation engines powered by machine learning, and eventually, more intelligent versions of this, can actually try to be of service to you. Like I do see
Mhm.
that AI is supposed to be kind of a benevolent, like servant supporter, and I think over time we will have a historical trail of activities that an AI machine learning model could easily digest and understand you and try to be of service to you. So in the metaverse, that might be a recommendation to say, hey, look, you might be interested in these like Nike shoes for your avatar, and like
Mhm.
I like it or not. I mean, the truth is Google has identified an incredible business model, like it or not, right? AdSense, right, for the advertising revenue. And while a lot of people don't like ads, and I get it, they also drive commerce, and they people make businesses out of this. And if you do this in a tasteful manner, right, and it's very well targeted and crafted for you, then it actually can be a delight. You're like, oh, great, I was looking for something like that. So let's see what happens. But that's kind of where excuse me, I also see AI kind of intertwining with blockchain.
Right. Well, speaking of advertisements, I think most of the people, why they don't like advertisements, especially personalized advertisement, is because they understand that their personal details are shared between third parties, and they are using your data, your personal data, to actually show you relevant items to purchase. But in Web3 with DID, I think it would be much easier because we're not sharing what we don't want to share. We'll be sharing what we want to share, and through that, we'll be getting the related items or related advertisements and so on and so forth. So I think in terms of Web3, I wouldn't mind getting advertisements as long as my personal identity or like overall information about me that I want to keep it to myself is not leaked out there. Know what I mean? So I think this is something that I think very interesting, and I have high hopes for that as well, because in the end you want to have advertisements, of course, because it drives commerce, but at the same time it gives you the options to make a life easier. But again, if it is with sharing the information that you want to share, then it's just a cherry on top, right?
Yeah, I guess so. Like data ownership, data privacy, data permissions. I think that's all very relevant when it comes to training machine learning models and AI in general. So totally, I agree with you on the advertising angle as well. However, on the other side, I do think that there are probably going to be like a gray hat or black hat advertising companies that are going to take more than just what you want them to take. So
yeah, well, in the end, these are the things that are inevitable, and in the end, you just have to find new ways to keep and protect your own personal information. And speaking of the scary part of AI, what challenges or what problems do you think we're going to face with AI being deeply integrated into Web3?
Well, what if James, for example, like you have this webinar and videos, maybe I can train my AI model around it. Maybe I can find your forums that you've spoken at, so I can sound and speak like you, and I can impersonate you and say, hey, it's James. It's okay. Send me your private key. It's all good. You know me. Maybe that's an issue, just like Sybil attacks, that's always like just people misrepresenting themselves, fake AI, fake deep fakes. This is always going to be an issue. And I do really think that, as I kind of mentioned earlier at this call, that blockchain came in just the right time. Because if AI existed and went rampant and grew out of control, but we didn't have a trust layer, then our society would have major problems. Like deep fake Ukraine and Biden saying they're going to go to war, or Putin.
Yeah.
Like people, this could crash the stock market if it looked real enough, if you can verify. So I'm just happy that blockchain came first before AI got this good, because we all know AI is about to get even better. And it's going to get unreal how good it's going to become. Yeah.
But how does it help if blockchain came first before the AI?
Oh, because you have something to anchor the AI, so you know how it's been trained. You know what data it's been used to train that model, what it's ingested. You can have a public key infrastructure to make sure that, hey, this person actually did say this. They signed off on the media, for example. You need to have something that is a trust layer that no one can break, as a singular thing that, hey, I guess, all the people in the world say, yeah, this is unbreakable, and we need something like that. And that's what I mean by blockchain as a trust layer.
But how would they go? I mean, yeah, of course we can. Even right now, we can actually, like differentiate people, like real people, and deep fakes. But again, as AI is going to improve a lot, how would we make sure that the whatever the person is saying, like the real person is saying, is in fact, uh, I would say, transparent, and is, um, I don't know, there is an input in the blockchain that we can all verify, the public can all verify. How would it go?
It goes back to private public keys, right? Like just key signing. Same with emails, right? If you use GPG keys on your emails, you can prove that you were the one that sent the email, even if someone else can potentially hijack your email address, right? So this technology goes back ages to when cryptography was basically invented. But the cool thing about blockchain is that now you have a timestamp that's distributed and has consensus, and so you can basically prove your identity, and you can prove what you're saying. So I sorry to talk over you, Josh, but I think that's what you were trying to say.
Exactly.
I see. Yeah, this makes sense. Yeah, of course. I mean, with the timestamp and everything, it will be easier to verify and open to public, a lot more transparent. Do we, like, besides security and all that deep fakes, do we see any other challenges or problems that AI might bring to us?
I think one of the biggest challenges is actually bridging the results of AI application to smart contracts, right? But that won't be a problem sticking around for long, since we're going to be live pretty soon. I mean, the SaaS3 oracles. Going towards, yeah, I mean, because you can bring the results directly on the blockchain. But going towards discussing more about that, I think the biggest challenge isn't even oracles; it's permissionless oracles. Because if you recall, I mean, Josh, the recommendation you were giving me, optimistic role oracle model, I really like this recommendation, but it really defeats the purpose of, or kind of defeats the purpose of what we're trying to achieve. I mean, so maybe let's say Vitalik created Ethereum, a blockchain, right? Now anybody can deploy smart contracts on it. It's not Vitalik's job to check every smart contract if it has a bug, if it doesn't have a bug, because that would like make the system incredibly unpractical. I mean, imagine if he's like checking, like approving every smart contract, we wouldn't be sitting over here and doing what we are doing. And Oracle should be this in the same way. I mean, it's not our job to check if the oracles are good or not. It's the people's job, and people can create their own oracles and promote it accordingly. So that's why we've actually tried to create, or we are creating, a tokenomic system around it where people deploy their own oracles and then they promote it accordingly. So I think this is the biggest challenge. I mean, the first of all is bringing the data of the AI results on the blockchain. That's a headache altogether, but I don't think so that will be a problem through our architecture, because we use TE chipsets. So that's one solution. It's trusted execution environment chipset, so it enables for privacy computation, which can allow chipsets to actually compute algorithms or compute whatever type of computation, and generate the results and upload it directly on the blockchain. So that's not a problem. The biggest problem would be permissionless Oracle, where you allow everybody to actually, or you try to create some sort of architecture where anybody can bring in data. So I think, yeah, but not a problem for long. SaaS3 is going to change. So yeah, on
I got a question about permissionless oracles. If, let's say, everyone is open to bring in the data and on oracles as they want, and yeah, as you mentioned, like, it's impractical for the let's say founders to actually check each oracle and the data and all that security stuff. Um, isn't it possible to actually train AI to check all the oracles that are being implemented, check for the securities, check for the bugs and all that stuff? So it would be permissionless, but with the help of AI.
See, it's an interesting question, but actually, we've also got to consider how AI applications are developed, right? So, there are three main general steps to creating an AI application. The first is actually collecting data. The second is labeling data, and the third is to train that AI model on that labeled data and make it functional. Now, let me give you an example, and then I'll loop back to the question, to your question. Suppose if you're trying to create an AI application that detects banana, so you give it an image, bam, it's going to find the banana, right? That's it. So you have to give it maybe 1 million images of bananas, and not only that, the AI a gorilla knows what a banana is, but an AI is even dumb. It doesn't even know what a banana is. So you have to highlight it manually. This is a manual task. Okay, you have to take the image, highlight the banana, and then tell the AI that, you know what, in these coordinates lies the banana. And then once you give these 1 million labeled images doing all of this task and then train the AI, is when it's going to be able to find the banana. Now, this is called supervised learning. So this is called creating AI applications through supervised learning. And imagine how complex it is for self-driving cars. So you have to label millions and millions of images of where is the object, where is what's happening, where is the, if there's a dog, what type of thing is it, if it's a street lamp, so that's stationary, that wouldn't move, so you can, take a left, right, whatever you want to do. And now imagine what your question. So your question was basically like checking oracles, right? So first of all, to create an AI maybe that can detect oracles, you need a set of vulnerabilities that you mark in, and you have to train the AI through certain steps of detecting vulnerabilities. For that, you need data, and to get data, there's a long time. I mean, the oracle industry itself is not developed. You look at it, there's only maybe one major player in the entire market of oracles, a chain link, and that also is extremely centralized with limited number of data sets. So we haven't got there. That we first need the data, then we need to label it, and labeling it is another task, because for each kind of thing you need to like find the vulnerability, and that may also not protect it against completely new vulnerabilities. I'm not saying it's not possible. I'm saying it's right now it wouldn't be practical according to my knowledge. Yeah, maybe yeah. Yeah, that's
Yeah. Okay,
Right.
got it. Okay.
So let's respond to this. So I mean, it depends on what you're doing. So if what you're working on is not mission critical, then sure, using a centralized Oracle is fine. Like single source data, if you plug into a Web2, that can be easily corrupted by anyone, like the founder or just even whoever's the cloud provider, whatever. Tons of vulnerabilities. This is why it's very dangerous to do that. So I'm okay with it in permissionless setting to do it on your own. But if it's high stakes, the public needs to know what they're dealing with. So it's important, and it is our responsibility to educate everyone on what are the risks and challenges that you face by engaging this or that. So, for example, suppose that you have a centralized Oracle. Remember, the Oracle and the smart contract will only be as good as the Oracle data that you feed it. You have lost the layer 1 security guarantee immediately the moment that you use an external Oracle, right? So you want to be careful on how that Oracle itself is handled. Now, what you could do is, play a good person and build up total value lock, and then just hack your own Oracle, hack your own feed, hack your own API. Then all you do is, oh shoot, someone hacked it. It's not my fault. It's hard to prove it, and then you can, cause major cascading failures across smart contracts to compose. That's why I'd be very careful on what you let into the blockchain in the first place. And the good news is the biggest use case is clearly cryptocurrency prices, equities, FX, etc. And they generally do have multiple sources where you can kind of query and then kind of reach a threshold agreement before you actually post it on the blockchain. For private settings where it's like a game or there's like low stakes, then sure, doesn't really matter. Even on Supra, Docs, your model could actually work directly on Supra too, of course. And I'm not entirely sure yet, actually, where this is going to go. I'm actually generally pretty skeptical, and I think we should go very slowly with this. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah, I'm quite skeptical as well about putting AI data on chain, just because AI data is not deterministic, right? So if every single run, every single block, you might have different data, even if you put in the same query for that Oracle, then like how can you rely on it, right? Like what applications can you build on it if you can't trust the data is going to be the same every single time? So that's kind of just the nature of AI and these like machine learning models that, yeah, they're essentially based on heuristics rather than something deterministic. So
no, I would disagree actually. So please complete. Then I'll
no,
follow.
that's it. Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry. So see, what you're talking about is maybe perhaps your experience from Chat GPT, right? It's not deterministic. You could ask it two questions, like one question again, and maybe it changes its answer, whatever. But in a lot of spaces, AI actually is more deterministic than humans. I mean, if you can trust humans inputting data on the blockchain, I think AI would perform 1,000x better, because just as I said, take trading as an example, right? If you ask a human to maybe understand or do analysis, AI will do it 100 times better. There's no discussion about it. So if you take its and its result would be more accurate and more sound compared to a human in many cases, in various cases. So I'm saying if you're trusting a human, you should trust an AI more because it's able to give better data. Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Yeah,
But
I understand what you mean. I don't really trust it when humans are the ones putting data into oracles rather than just like something coming from something else. But yeah, I get your point.
okay. I
Yeah, the
see.
optimistic Oracle model is not actually something that I'm a huge fan of because you introduce like a 12-hour latency, right? That kind of
Yeah.
defeats the purpose for many use cases.
Hmm.
And our kind of algorithmic Oracle is kind of cryptographically secure, and we use a lot of different data sources, and it's fast with latency. But I am curious on, like, we should actually kind of take a step back and actually discuss for a moment, what are some utility and use cases of AI data on through oracles onto a blockchain? Because actually, I'm not entirely sure what those use cases are.
Yeah.
So are you asking me?
Yeah,
See, I'll say right now, as I said in like when James asked this question to me previously, I think the biggest application would be trading. Hands off. That's all we use blockchain for right now. That's all we use crypto for right now. If you're asking me, can I buy chips using crypto? No, nobody's buying chips. Nobody's buying movie tickets with crypto. Maybe a small percentage of it, but generally people aren't. What are generally people doing with crypto? Trading. So I think this is the biggest application that is already available for or is already ready for innovation. Just someone needs to come into the market with an AI that trades better than humans. Probably there is someone we don't know. I mean, why would they disclose if they have an AI model that works better than humans? It's well,
yeah. I mean, like jump trading or these huge market makers, they probably doing
yeah,
things like this to. Yeah,
yeah.
I'm
And
curious to see
I
how that'll work.
suspect I don't want to say names or I don't want to say stuff, but I think the biggest application in crypto because it's fairly unregulated. I mean, you can do stuffs in crypto right now that people could have done in stock exchanges when regulatory bodies did not exist. So when they want people to check what's happening in the stock exchange, that's what people do right now in crypto, or that's what I think they do. So manipulation is maybe the biggest utilization of AI in crypto right now as a potential money making machine, money market, money makers, money making machine. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I tend to actually agree that you follow the money, and people get very clever quickly, and especially with like DEX and automatic market makers, where you can kind of use flash loans to unbalance the pools and such like this. Um, and maybe AI can help identify those situations and scenarios.
Hmm.
I do want to kind of just mention that one thing that we are looking at Supra is to, and this is why we might want to work with you, Ali, for example, as being one of our data sources, is to look at historical data and trends on DEX data, and to be able to, like, once again, be looking at hundreds of or thousands of blocks of history, identify anomalies or historically inconsistent results, and flag that, and send a transaction to the smart contract, say, hey, look, you might want to basically something along the lines of, you might want to pause your smart contract. Like anytime you get this red flag from Supra,
Mhm.
your smart contract is paused for 1 hour just to kind of let things settle. Things like this, we're interested to kind of counterattack those exploits. And people want this because a lot of folks are afraid of these DEX exploits on these smaller cap coins, right? That are a couple $1,000,000, 10 million bucks can like really throw things out of whack. And I
Mhm.
think we can play a role to protect that.
Imagine if you're sending this signal to the protocol owners that you know what, there's some sort of red flag in your contract, and they reply with, "Don't worry, it's us, no problem." Yeah,
Publish that to a blockchain.
yeah, because maybe the external manipulation is less. Yeah, I see.
Yeah. I'm loving this discussion, to be honest. I'm loving and I'm learning a lot from you guys, and I'm loving how you guys are, thinking outside of the box and thinking what AI can bring to the table and what AI can do for the people and for the I would say the financial growth of people. But again, my question would be, is the future with AI bright or is it doomed?
I think it's absolutely fantastic. I mean, it's going to be amazing and surreal, but we need a blockchain to know what's real. You know, I'm pretty sure, like I'm pretty high conviction here that society is going to make laws around this. And then this is why I said that early at the beginning that blockchain has just found a second major huge use case. First is money and transfer of value. Then it's a layer of truth. And we've always talked about it as a trust machine. But this is going to anchor and tame out of control AI, in my opinion. And that's why I'm really grateful that blockchain came just in the nick of time.
Yeah, what do others think?
Yeah, I tend to agree. I think I think very much on the same similar path as Josh says. But I'm excited for it. So if scary things come, then we'll deal with it. Like I don't think it'll be that scary.
It's gonna be awesome. I think human productivity is just gonna grow like crazy.
Mhm.
I think it's subjective, you know, because the answer is the coming of AI bright, or is it going to bring doom? It depends on the person. So suppose if part of it which I prepared for this, I didn't say it, but you know, something like what I think also will be a good application of AI in the Web3 space will be developing smart contracts. I mean, ChatGPT could do it a little right now, and it's not far. We're not far from when AI could do it automatically. Develop smart contracts, develop front end, develop the entire code. Also, AIGC, artificial intelligent generated content. So it's like you could generate content, marketing content, blogs, everything from it. So it depends who is the person, which side are you on. Are you on the side of the person who actually creates blogs, because your job is gone, so you're doomed. I mean, you have nothing to do. If you are a quant, uh, I mean, most of you are also doomed. AI is going to do it. What are you here for? To look at graphs? AI could do it better. You're doomed. Bye bye. Bam. But
Uh,
but again, if you're on the better side where you're creating or enabling AI applications, or you're maybe creating some sort of Oracle or Oracle infrastructure as we are, to bridge the data, or you're doing an indexing protocol or an Oracle like Josh, or SupraOracles or whatever, like SupraOracles, and there are a couple of oracles over there which are doing interesting work. So then you might not be doomed, because you're actually it depends which side you are on. We are on the bright side, yeah, but people who are on the dark side will are doomed. I mean, yeah, it
Yeah,
I
goes
think
I
both
at
ways.
hate
some
that.
point,
Yeah, yeah, Ellie, go
there's
ahead.
gonna be a critical point where there's more AI generated content than human generated content, and we're not going to be able to tell what is what, and that's when AI is going to self-destruct, because it's going to start training itself on other AI generated content. So
Yeah.
think of it as a feedback loop, right? Like if you have a microphone and a speaker in the same room, it's
Yeah.
it explodes. Like
I'll give you, I'll give you,
you know.
I'll give you
So
another I'll give you another example. Imagine if everybody is doing trading through AIs. Now you need to create an AI that can predict other AI applications. So that's a loop in itself. You're talking about the Terminator Genesis. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think ChatGPT already started making some moves where, some people got laid off because of it. I mean, especially the first ones got hit, I think, are the content creators, especially those that write stuff and create content for the companies. Just because companies started to actually utilizing ChatGPT and, understand how it really works and try to make it much better, and then they see that there is a huge difference between a human written article and ChatGPT written article. And if the community feedback on the AI created article is much better, then what's the point of keeping that person where you can just pay $20 a month and then have a high quality content, right? But again, yeah, of course, I mean, it depends on which side you are at. But again, I have high hopes for the humanity, because in the end we always try to find something new, and that will give, I would say, like if we're talking about employment or whatever, then there is always a hope for the humanity to actually find new ways of employing people, find new ways to give people some type of responsibility or some type of job where they find money, they earn money, and then they provide for their families. But
Well,
yeah,
about that,
I mean,
James, I do want to have one point about that because it's interesting, and I tend to agree. However, I do think 10, 20 years from now, we will have robotics with AI and artificial, general intelligence, or more or less, and then and a lot of human jobs are going to be not useful anymore, or we don't need to do that. That's why actually, and this is another kind of going to the first use case of blockchain, actually, some sort of universal basic income is probably going to be necessary in that world. And imagine that society, if we can kind of get over our current dilemmas and human issues, right? Which is, I mean, I can't believe like the last year and a half has been absurd. Like last 3 years have been really difficult for our planet, our species. But we get over this in one piece. We get into robotics, we get into AI. A lot of this laborious work that's monotonous and difficult and routine maybe can be outsourced to machines, and then humans are going to do what they love to do, which is create, imagine, follow the curiosity. And in a world where there's so much of the labor market is maybe not necessary anymore, we probably do need like blockchain and universal basic income. I think it's going to take a couple of decades, but I think in our lifetime this probably will happen, in my opinion.
I mean, it's very funny. Do we have to end, James, or we could add?
No, go ahead. Go ahead. Yeah.
I also used to think the same, that humans will take creative jobs and all of the manual labor will be done by AI. But AI is doing a lot of creative stuff in terms of generating music, in terms of generating scripts for movies. So not sure in that space. I'm not sure now. Yeah.
Yeah,
And
I'm
I
curious
also
about that too. Yeah.
Yeah. I'll send you probably maybe James, you can create a Telegram group. It's awesome. I'll send you a NVIDIA lineup of, they actually do a video every year of they've used their GPU for computation, right? And in each year they display what has happened with their what AI computation their GPU has been doing, what stuff has been happening, and in each video the music has been generated by an AI, and it's like phenomenal music. And I also agree with your point of robotics with AI, because it's already happening. If you look at it, just if you want to know the future, you just have to look around you. You look at airports. I mean, I'm based in Dubai, right? You just fly in, immigration is done by the robot. I mean, you just scan your passport, it opens the door, you go ahead. I think it's pretty similar in Singapore too. I got to know about SupraOracles through Token 2049 Singapore, so it's pretty interesting, yeah. And when I was over there, you just put your passport, and it just scans you and it lets you go. So soon, you could see that it's not completely automated yet, but soon, yeah. I also think so. Soon, it's not very far ahead.
Yeah, well, I hope so. I mean, in the end, we are trying to make our lives easier. We're trying to make our lives happier. And I hope that with the help of robotics and AI and all that stuff, it will be a lot easier. And if we are not able to, I would say, do creative work or imaginary work, then what we are good at doing is relaxing and traveling and all that. And hope that happens. I
My
can't
life
wait for
always
that.
good at relaxing. Awesome.
So yeah, I think this is pretty much it for today. I mean, I greatly appreciate you guys taking the time of your day and coming here and sharing your knowledge and expertise. This has been one hell of a webinar, and I really loved it, and I hope whoever was watching this live stream, I hope they loved it too. And I mean, after this webinar, I'm gonna create a group, and you guys can discuss. And if there is a way for you guys to do some type of partnership, this would be just my pleasure. So
Sure,
thank you so
awesome.
much
Oh,
again.
and one more thing, if I could make an announcement, I'll be in Hong Kong for a couple of days, from 1 March to 5th March. So if anybody on the stream just wants to get in touch, or get in touch with the project just and is based in Hong Kong, just feel free to message SaaS3 Telegram group. You could find, or you could @Joshi Daksh, JOSHIDAKSH. That's my Telegram. So you could just feel free to message me. Yeah, awesome. Thanks. Sorry.
All
Cheers.
right.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Taj.
Thanks, guys.
All
And
right,
our
thanks,
team is
James.
in ETH Denver, so come look for us as well. Yeah, James, thanks so much. Nice to meet you both. Let's absolutely stay in touch with everyone. Thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much, guys. And we're gonna end this
Thanks, everyone.
broadcast. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.